AITA for burning down my ex's house after they cheated. I, 34, had been in a relationship with my ex-partner, 32, for 5 years. We were high school sweethearts who had gone through so much together: highs, lows, laughter, and tears. We had built a life together, or so I thought. Everything changed when I found out they had been cheating on me for months. I remember the day I found out like it was yesterday. I came home early from work and found them in bed with someone else. The shock, the betrayal, the heartbreak, it all hit me like a ton of bricks. How could they do this to me after everything we had been through? I felt like my world was crumbling around me. I confronted them, shouting, crying, demanding answers. They didn't even try to deny it. They just looked at me with a cold, emotionless gaze and admitted to everything. They said they were sorry, that it was a mistake, that they still loved me. But it was too late. The trust between us had been shattered beyond repair. I moved out of our shared home that night, taking only what I could carry. I stayed with a friend temporarily while I tried to process everything that had happened. But the anger and the pain never went away. It consumed me, leaving a bitter taste in my mouth every time I thought about what they had done. Several weeks passed, and I found myself driving past our old house one night. I don't know what came over me, but I couldn't stop myself from parking the car and walking up to the front door. I stood there for what felt like hours, staring at the house that used to be our home. And then, without thinking, I lit a match and threw it at the wooden porch. The flame caught quickly, spreading rapidly across the dry wood. I stood there, watching as the fire consumed the house that held so many memories, both good and bad. It was a cathartic release, a way to finally let go of the pain and the anger that had been eating away at me. As the flames grew higher, I felt a sense of liberation wash over me. The weight of betrayal and heartbreak lifted off my shoulders, replaced by a sense of freedom. I knew what I had done was wrong, but in that moment, it felt like the only way to truly move on from the pain they had caused me. The fire department arrived soon after, putting out the blaze before it could spread to the neighboring houses. I watched from a distance, feeling a strange sense of satisfaction at seeing the house reduced to ashes. It was a symbolic act of revenge, a way to show my ex-partner the extent of the hurt they had inflicted on me. In the days that followed, the news of the fire spread like wildfire. People whispered about the scorned lover who had burned down their ex's house in a fit of rage. Some condemned me for my actions, calling me a criminal and a danger to society. Others sympathized with me, understanding the pain of being betrayed by someone you loved. My ex-partner reached out to me, begging for forgiveness for a second chance. They said they were willing to make things right, to rebuild what we had lost. But I couldn't bring myself to trust them again, not after what they had done. The damage was irreparable, the wounds too deep to heal. And now, as I sit here reflecting on everything that has happened, I can't help but wonder, am I the asshole? Was burning down their house the right thing to do, or was it just a destructive act of revenge? I may never know the answer, but one thing is certain: the pain of betrayal will always linger, a scar that can never truly fade. Update. In the weeks following the incident, I found myself grappling with a mix of emotions. Guilt and remorse weighed heavily on my heart as I came to terms with the consequences of my actions. The reality of what I had done hit me like a ton of bricks, and I couldn't shake the feeling of regret that consumed me. My ex-partner, on the other hand, refused to let go of what had happened. They were enraged and devastated by the destruction of their home, blaming me for the loss and devastation that followed. They vowed to make me pay for what I had done, seeking legal action against me and threatening to expose my actions to the public. As the legal battle loomed over me, I found myself torn between accepting responsibility for my actions and defending myself against the accusations thrown my way. I knew what I had done was wrong, but I couldn't ignore the hurt and betrayal that had driven me to that point. The line between right and wrong blurred as I struggled to come to terms with the fallout of my choices. And then, one fateful day, a settlement was reached. My ex-partner agreed to drop the charges in exchange for compensation for the damages caused by the fire. It was a bittersweet victory, a small sense of closure amidst the chaos that had consumed us both. But even as the legal battle came to an end, the emotional turmoil lingered. The wounds of betrayal ran deep, poisoning any chance of reconciliation between us. The aftermath of the fire had left a chasm between us that could never be bridged, a permanent scar on our relationship that could never be healed. Conclusion. As I look back on the events that unfolded, I can't help but feel a sense of bitterness and resentment towards my ex-partner. The betrayal they inflicted on me was unforgivable, a wound that cut to the core of my being. And in my moment of weakness, I succumbed to the darkness within me, seeking solace in the flames that consumed their house. But in the end, I have come to realize that my actions were a misguided attempt at seeking justice for the pain they had caused me. Burning down their house was a destructive act of revenge, a cathartic release that ultimately left us both wounded and scarred. As we part ways, the hatred and animosity between us burn brighter than ever, fueling a fire that will never truly be extinguished. And though I may never know if I was truly the asshole in this situation, one thing remains certain. The consequences of my actions will forever haunt me, a reminder of the thin line between love and hate. Was the op in the wrong? Comment down below and make sure to like and subscribe.